We'd like to start the regular press conference by Minister Hayashi. Minister Hayashi, the floor is yours. Please go ahead. Thank you. On the early evening of today, May 9th, the 7th Japan-France Foreign and Defense Ministers meeting will be held via video conference. This will be the 2+2. From Japan's side, myself and Minister of Defense, Minister Hamada, will attend. From France, Minister Colonna, Minister for Europe and Foreign Affairs, as well as Minister Lecornu, Minister for Armed Forces of the French Republic, will attend the meeting. Between France, a special partner with whom we share basic values and strategic interest, and considering the upcoming G7 Hiroshima summit and the visit of President Macron to Japan and the formulation of a new roadmap for Japan-France cooperation, we will discuss a wide range of issues, including security and defense cooperation between Japan and France, as well as regional issues, and we hope to further strengthen our bilateral ties going forward.
And another point, if circumstances allow, from May 12th to the 15th, in order to attend the Indo-Pacific Ministerial co-organized by the EU and Sweden, which has the presidency of the EU, I'll be visiting Stockholm in Sweden. This will be my first visit to Sweden since I have become foreign minister. The conference was organized by Sweden, which has the presidency for the first 6 months of the year, in order to enlarge EU engagement in the Indo-Pacific even further. And so in addition to the EU member countries, the countries which have been invited will be attending as well. The Japanese government rates very highly the convening of this conference, and we welcome that. In a situation where the international security environment is becoming increasingly severe, we cannot discuss security in Europe and in the Pacific separately, and so the importance of collaboration between like-minded countries is becoming increasingly greater. When I attend this conference, I will once again stress such recognition. I will be reporting also on the G7 Foreign Ministers meeting held in Karuizawa, Nagano, held last month, and I will also be explaining about the new plan for the realization of FOIP or FOIP, which Prime Minister Kishida announced in March. I will be explaining that, and I hope to further deepen collaboration with the respective countries. During my visit to Sweden this time, I will be meeting with Foreign Minister Billström, and I will be meeting individually with Foreign Ministers of the respective countries to make for stronger collaboration. We will be entertaining questions. If you are called upon, please state your name and affiliation before you state your question. Katsura-san.
Katsura from Kyoto Press. I would like to ask about something that took place before the Golden Week. Since we didn't have time, we wanted to ask about reciprocal access agreement between Japan and Australia. Now, in this reciprocal access agreement, there is a provision with regard to measures taken when soldiers conduct felony which is equivalent to or which calls for the penalty. I understand the negotiations faced difficulties. That's because there's a difference between the two countries who have eliminated the death penalty and Japan, which maintains the death penalty. 4 minutes. What are you saying about the death penalty system? Can you tell me how many countries still maintain the death penalty and how many countries have already eliminated the death penalty? What are your thoughts? Yes, with regard to the death penalty, this is under the purview and the auspices of the Ministry of Justice. But based on that understanding, let me say the following. With regard to the continuance or elimination of the death penalty system, this is a matter which should be considered with giving full consideration to the view of the public and also from the perspective of the realization of the social justice. This is a matter which should be very carefully considered and should be independently decided by each country. With regard to the report by the UN Secretary General on the death penalty, as of May 2020, the number of countries and regions which have eliminated death penalty is said to be around 120. With regard to the death penalty itself, this is not under the purview and the auspices of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. We are aware of the various different views and discussions that are being held about the system. With regard to the system here in Japan, I think there's a need for us to provide very careful explanations to various countries outside Japan. Thank you.
Iwasawa-san, NHK, please. Iwasawa, NHK. with regard to your visit to Sweden, a week from your visit, the G7 summit will be held. And to discuss with various countries regarding Indo-Pacific, what is the significance of this, and how do you intend to feed that into the theme of the Hiroshima summit and discussions? The international security environment is becoming increasingly tougher, and as I mentioned at the outset, between Europe and the Indo-Pacific, we cannot separate the discussions of security. And so the collaboration between like-minded countries is becoming increasingly greater in significance. So amidst these circumstances, on the part of Japan, we'll be reporting on the results of the G7 Foreign Ministers meeting in Karuizawa, Nagano Prefecture, and our new plans for the realization of the FOIP to strengthen and maintain free and open international order based on the rule of law. We hope to further strengthen collaboration with like-minded countries. As for the G7 Hiroshima summit starting next week, it's important to properly address and discuss the issues of the regional situation in the Indo-Pacific. And so based on the discussion at the Indo-Pacific Ministerial, we hope to contribute to discussions.
Abe-san from Yomiuri Shimbun newspaper, please. Thank you. Abe from Yomiuri Shimbun. I was asked about climate change measures. Now, during the Golden Week, you visited various Caribbean nations, I understand. And I'm sure that you had discussions about the climate change issues with your counterparts that you visited. Now, at the upcoming G7 Hiroshima summit, we understand that climate change will be a major agenda item. So bearing in mind your visit to the Caribbean nations, can you talk about some of the output you would like to see at the G7 Hiroshima summit? Yes, thank you. With regard to the visit to the Caribbean countries, in order to contribute to the overcoming of vulnerability that are unique to the small island nations, we had very meaningful discussions about climate change issues as well. And we were able to receive very high appreciation from Japan's initiatives with regard to climate change countermeasures. Now, at the G7 Hiroshima summit, Japan would like to lead the international community by deepening discussions about the need for assistance toward resilient energy transition and support to the vulnerable nations, in line which considers the situation which gives a country in, so that we'll be able to realize net zero in 2050. Thank you.
Katsurada-san, Kyodo News, please. Katsurada, Kyodo News. At the Japan ROK summit meeting, it was agreed that an inspection team comprising experts from the ROK will be visiting the site of the Fukushima Daiichi accident. There has been a backlash against the release of Alps water, but with the visitation of the inspection team, how will that impact public opinion in the ROK? With regard to the ROK, up until now, through occasions such as the Director General's level meetings, we have discussed the safety of the Alps treated water, and based on scientific evidence, we have been very careful and detailed in our explanation and in providing information. At the recent Japan ROK summit talks, Prime Minister Kishida explained that we will be undergoing IAEA review, and with a high degree of transparency, we will be explaining based on scientific evidence. And both leaders, from the perspective of enhancing understanding on the domestic scene in the ROK, have agreed to dispatch inspection team comprising experts to the Fukushima site before the end of May. On the part of the government, through the dispatching of the inspection team and through the explanations given by the Director General's level meeting, we hope to explain with a high level of transparency based on scientific evidence. By so doing, we hope that people in the ROK would enhance their understanding regarding the safety of the release of Alps treated water.
This ends the press conference. Thank you for your attendance. Thank you very much.